Welcome back to Healthcare Consumerism Radio. This is Brent Macy, Managing Director for the Institute for Healthcare Consumerism, joined with CEO and founder Doug Field here in the studio. And got a great guest coming up on this segment, Frank Mengert, who's the partner and director of exchanges for eBenefits Marketplace, is joining us. Welcome to the program, Frank.
Thank you. Great to be on.
Now, you're in this wild, crazy world of exchanges and defined contribution. Kind of give our audience a little bit of background on eBenefits Marketplace.
Sure. So we're based out of Connecticut. We're in North Haven, Connecticut, which is in New Haven County, and we run on the backbone of bswift. So we kind of piggyback off their technology. So we're a technology channel partner with them, and what we do is we offer a broker-neutral, carrier-agnostic private exchange platform to broker firms nationwide, strategic broker firms nationwide, and basically the same technology that bswift offers, we offer to the brokers, but more on a different approach, and bringing a different level of how we see the market and the different needs of the different firms we're dealing with.
Well, hey Frank, this is Doug, and welcome. Good to have you here this morning. Let's talk about defined contribution, because I think you make some really relevant points and about, it's talked about a lot, but it's really misunderstood. And even though it's been around a long time, it's really misunderstood, the ABCs on how it works in conjunction with a private marketplace. Talk to us. Let's go back to the basics. Talk to us about the ABCs of defined contribution.
So defined contribution is a big buzz now, and you hear it everywhere, and people have a different take on how it works.
Right.
What I say may be different than how someone else sees it, and that's typical even with the private exchange definition. So in the basis and essence of it all, it's really giving the employer the ability to control their budget and maybe predict their costs a little better in a fixed method, instead of having a undefined budget like defined benefit, which is kind of a moving target all the time. So defined contribution will give them the ability to definitely control their costs and fix those costs. And the question is, and it's still kind of an unknown, is how is this going to be a long term? We're a lot of the groups that are adopting this strategy now. How will this play out if they really do get a big increase in a renewal and things like that? So those are some of the moving targets also with defined contribution. But we see that the adoption rate to defined contribution is definitely going to be more of the norm moving forward over the next few years.
Now, Frank, and you probably alluded to it right there in your answer, is the number one reason for an employer to adopt the defined contribution mechanism to control costs specifically, or there's some other benefits to it?
Well, I'll tell you, Gallagher did a survey, the 2013 Benefit Strategy and Benchmarking Survey, and 80% of organizations reported that controlling benefit costs is the biggest challenge that they face. So that's a pretty big number. And in order to do that, it's what we see in the market, all the time. I'm on calls with brokers daily, and I speak, defined contribution a lot with different groups and help them wrap their head around it. And the main thing that they're seeing is we can't sustain these increases we've been getting. And some of these groups out there have been getting hit with 20, 25% increases. And, they love their employees. They want to continue to offer benefits to their employees, but at what cost to them? And can they do it? And how much can they afford? So defined contribution, if presented in the right way, can be a way for the employer to continue to take care of their employees as much as they possibly can, but also shift some of the responsibility to the employees, give them some skin in the game, and still continue to offer a nice comprehensive benefit package.
And if you do it the right way and you provide a complete, what I call tool set, a complete plan of choice for your employees, you actually are keeping them, happy as well. You're giving them, choice of the plans that they can choose for the type of family they have, whatever that family unit looks like.
Correct. So now what you're doing, and traditionally groups have been the paternal role. They say, there's a 25-year-old guy, single guy, then there's a girl in the office, she's 32 years old, maybe she's married, she's trying to have a child, and then you have someone in the older population who's on some prescriptions and things like that, maybe diabetes, and there's they pick that one plan and say, well, I hope this fits everyone. Unfortunately, this is what we can afford, this we can pick. With the defined contribution, especially mixed in with the private exchange, now you can kind of turn your employees into consumers, right, offer multiple plan selections, give them a budget, and you say, here's what we have. Go pick the plan that best fits your needs. And that is, where you're going to see employers giving those employees the option to have, maybe they may navigate to that lowest cost plan, but you're going to have the employees that say, I'm having a baby this year. I don't want a high deductible plan. I'll spend a little extra money out of my pocket in order to choose that lower plan, so I can have some copays in there and lower deductible.
Frank, what the tax benefit that employers have? Any impact on the tax benefit for employers?
No, it's the tax benefits will remain the same generally through offering this plan. There's not going to be any different changes or anything. There are, and I just want to be clear with some of our audience who may be listening. There is defined contribution talked about on an individual basis, where a group may abandon health insurance and give employees some money towards buying benefits, and that is definitely not what I'm not talking about today. I'm definitely talking about on the group side, and there's a Section 105 option and things like that. I'm strictly talking in the 125 area, and with most of the defined contribution models in place in this area, the favorable tax treatment for the employer contribution is going to remain intact. So the contributions of the cafeteria plan, the salary reduction agreements between the employer and the employee, those are going to remain there, pre-tax qualified benefits, and none of that will change. But I do recommend that if someone is getting into a defined contribution, I would recommend an employer is strongly encouraged to consult their tax advisor when they get into this to make sure they're complying with their federal and state tax treatments.
Yeah, that's a good point, Frank. Frank, talk a little bit about the administrative challenges or, solutions. I mean, I'm an employer. Hey, this makes a lot of sense. My broker agrees we should move this way. I mean, how do you, help that employer and their broker administer defined contribution and, the services that they require?
So what we do, it's pretty, we have some different pain points with different organizations we deal with. And ACA compliance and defined contribution are probably the main points that employers are looking at for right now, and those are the scary things that they're going through. So with a defined contribution, when used with it's usually used in conjunction with a private exchange for the ease of administration. You turn those employees into consumerism. You offer up that nice wide selection of plan offerings, and the defined contribution technology is built into a private exchange, similar to like what ebenefit offers to brokers. We have this proprietary defined contribution technology built in. So basically, the broker will sit down with the employer and say, what is your budget? What can you afford? And then carve out those options. Is it going to be based on different benefit classes? Are different employees going to get certain amounts? Are you going to give them one lump sum? Are you going to earmark funds? Because defined contribution, although seems like it's, okay, I'm going to do defined contribution. Okay, but what inside defined contribution, how do you want to chop that up? How do you want to carve it out? And it can get very tricky if you're trying to do it definitely outside of a private exchange. So within a private exchange, it's like similar to what we offer. Usually there's some pretty powerful technology, and it's going to administer that for the employer to say, here's my budget, here's what we want to do, let's carve it out, and then in the back end, the technology will handle all the administration.
And to our audience out there, Frank's going to actually be conducting a workshop at IHC Forum West on this very topic. And Frank, I wanted to give you an opportunity to just hit some high-level things that you're going to be talking about in that workshop.
Yeah, so in the workshop, which is a great opportunity, I'm glad to be speaking out there. We've been successful in building out private exchanges for brokers nationwide. So we have that hands-on approach, and there are a lot of unanswered questions that employers and brokers have. So from there, we're going to talk about different plan choices, how to promote consumerism, give those employees, as I mentioned earlier, skin in the game, the experience with the employees, keeping them involved. Defined contribution, again, I'm going to speak on that and allude to some other topics and show some different scenarios. And then also voluntary benefits. There's going to be a big spike in voluntary benefits. I see employers mixing those plans into their benefit offering to give some real appeal to their benefit package, and then also the ACA compliance. That's a big target on employers' backs right now, and the tools that you need to be in compliance with the ACA, and how we can help employer groups out there.
Now, Frank, when you look at these exchanges out there, and it's been said that HSAs could possibly grow by leaps and bounds because of these exchanges. Do you see that as truth?
Absolutely. I definitely see a huge growth there, and it's us ourselves. We have integration with HSA right through our platform, so it's just another way to put those plans in there, mix in the HSA. We see a huge shift there. Even now with the groups that we've been onboarding that have adopted this strategy, and I call them the early adopters that really saw this as a fit for their organization. That's been the trend for sure.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we should outline this earlier. From a group standpoint, is there a specific employer size that you work traditionally with, or are you serving all size employers?
Yep. So our platform can essentially handle a group from 2+.
Okay.
Does a two-person group want to get into a private exchange platform? No, probably not.
Right.
Our sweet spot is the 51 market, so 51+. Our average size group is somewhere around 250 lives or so. So. But yeah, 51+ is usually a group that's looking for this type of technology and wants to be involved in there. But we do have broker partners that are underneath that.
Yeah. Frank, we got about a minute left on the program, and always like to leave our audience, leave them with a couple good takeaways, and then let them know how they can find you. I know you're going to be out at Forum West, so that's one spot, but let them know, a number and email address where they can find you as well.
Sure. So our website is www.ebenefitmarketplace.com. Employer groups can check us out there if they're interested in something like this. They could send our their broker that way. Brokers who may be on can definitely check us out and visit our website. I can be contacted at 855-400-0793. And I'm a real, relationship guy, so I deal with brokers all the time, and it's always good to hear their perspective on what we're doing. So it's a nice educational piece.
Now, if you got an employer, will you work directly with an employer if they look to reach out with you, or is it a model where you'd refer them to a broker that you work with?
Correct. Yeah, we're broker neutral, so we work directly with brokers only, not directly with employer groups. But we would help them if they were looking for a broker that would want to offer our technology. We do have a nice network of brokers out there that we can refer them to. So
that's great. So any employers out there, if you're looking to, if you like what you hear right now on the program, reach out to Frank and he can refer you through his broker network. And again, he will be at IHC Forum West, conducting a workshop and also have an exhibit booth there, so you can find more details about his company. Frank, we really appreciate you joining us on the program today. Have a great weekend up there. And to the rest of our audience, stay tuned for the next segment of Healthcare Consumerism Radio.